Take the system by the throat, that's the antidote. So I call it opposition. Take a look at your support of opposition. You be the right to go to the opposition. Cause you know that you can't trade shit by how you feel.
See, the car says release them all. That's also in response to the coronavirus pandemic. There was a socially distant car demo similar to this at the governor's mansion, governor's residence last week, a little bit over last week, sometime March 30th, I believe. That was their second physical action done by local activists here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And they also did I think a phone action too. So that was 3 actions in 1 week, and now we have another action here. This one, that was specifically for releasing them all, meaning the detainees, immigrant detainees, as well as people locked up with vulnerable conditions and locked up on technical violations and some other such things. The jails is a very bad place for this pandemic, and if you know that the hospitals are having a struggling time, you would definitely know that the jails would have a struggling time. But right now, there's been 40 tests, I believe, given in the Minnesota prisons, the Department of Corrections. 9 people have tested positive in Moose Lake. Also, a CO at Red Wing Juvenile Correctional Facility, which is a juvenile prison. A CO also got tested positive. That was like 2 weeks ago, last week sometime. Right now, I think the deaths for Minnesota is up to 40 deaths or so. I'll get some direct numbers for you in a bit here. As far as the movement for getting the rents and mortgages frozen, a litany of city council members from Minneapolis and St. Paul yesterday, I think led by Jeremiah Bay Ellison, who's Keith Ellison's son, wrote a letter to the governor asking for rent freezes and for mortgage freezes. People can't pay their rent. People can't pay their mortgage if they're not working. And so the folks are pushing for some kind of alleviation from what could be months and months and months of debt when we come out of this pandemic, if we do. When we do. It's not a if, it's going to happen. So again, we're here in downtown Minneapolis. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. If you like our coverage, feel free to go to unicornriot.ninja/donate. We've been out here for 5 years for you all, only because of you all. So thank you all for allowing this to happen. We've reached 5-year anniversary on March 20th. So thank you. We also have 5-year commemorative t-shirts for you all if you would like. Go to unicornriot.ninja/donate, learn more. We also have a 5 years of Unicorn Riot post, so check that out. As again, we're here in downtown Minneapolis. Thanks, Jen, for the back end work. This is part of our ongoing coronavirus pandemic coverage. We're a very small organization at Unicorn Riot, and we try to do what we can, and we try to be where we can. So thank you all for tuning into this stream. Again, there's a lot of traffic out here, and all this traffic is basically the demo. So the demo started, maybe 5 minutes before the stream went up. So 15 minutes ago, you all didn't miss anything. Just basically the same scene. There was a banner drop though that happened inside the U.S. Bank Stadium. It said inside the U.S. Bank Plaza headquarters right here, this building. It said U.S. Bank, you can fix this. There's a lot we could go into with the predatory banking and the predatory lending and bad landlords here in the city. But we'll keep it at And what's focused right now is the coronavirus pandemic, with people unable to pay rent and mortgage. Tons of people are laid off. They're not receiving their checks. People need some alleviation. And so this is hundreds and hundreds. I'm not sure how many. This is quite a few cars though. I mean, this right here is one street. We're talking about a full block that these cars are going around and continually circling. So I'm not sure the number, but it's likely hundreds. Hundreds of cars with a few hundreds participants, at the least. That sign says, cancel rent, cancel mortgages, U.S. banks, stop profiting off of crisis. Another one says, this is a global crisis. Housing is a human right. So it looks like the police up there have shut off that other street. The protesters have shut off this street down here. It's around 4th Avenue here in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis. Here's Hennepin County Government Center. There's a seat of power right here, basically. There's the City Hall. On the next building, next block down, you see it right there. That's the federal building. This right here is the new jail that they built. So basically, this is the seat of power for Minneapolis, as well as U.S. Bank Plaza headquarters, which is right there in the corner. What up? What up? That sign said the rent can wait. So the rent is too damn high, break the banks. And the line just goes on. This is, the back of that sign says crush ice, talking about immigration customs enforcement. Again, thank you all for joining. Nico from Unicorn Ride, Jen on the back end. This is downtown Minneapolis. Cancel rent, cancel mortgages action. It's a car demo. Person has a Bernie sign. Bernie dropped out today.
Organize with your co-tenants and your co-workers to strike. Get organized. Well, we're here to cancel rent. We want an abolishment of the capitalist system because we will not be sacrificed for the name of profit. We want to run strike now. Hey, no more luxury condominiums. We want luxury condominiums to be filled with people that were otherwise houseless, or there's luxury condominiums right by the hospital that are about to be opened up in May. And people need hospital beds. People need homes for the houseless. We gotta take action and get organized within our communities and our workplaces. Thank you so much.
DID, Downtown Improvement District, did put up hand washing stations downtown, if anybody wondered. Now there has been some movement by the Minneapolis city. They've moved quite a few houseless folks into hotels during this pandemic. There's been supposedly $5 million that have been earmarked for underserved communities that are affected by this pandemic. And there's some other movements by the local governments here in Minneapolis and St. Paul to alleviate people's issues and the economic crisis that people are going through along with this coronavirus crisis. So there's been some movement, and right now people are asking for some more movement. They're asking for the alleviation of rent and mortgage payments. Sorry for that shakiness, I had to get a battery situation fixed. yesterday in Minneapolis was about 70 degrees. Today it's like 45. This was the action earlier inside the US Bank Plaza. That banner drop, you can fix this. It's right up on the second floor. Again, we're here in Minneapolis, downtown. We're on 5th and 3rd. Did I say we're on 4th earlier? I meant to say we're on 3rd. Here's the US Bank Plaza headquarters. This group out here is hundreds of people deep. It's a socially distant car demo. Everybody's sort of instructed to stay in their car. There's media out here and like marshals, I would say, with vests. A few other folks riding their bikes. They are live streaming this as well. You can see the person in the red beanie walking around with the camera. He's a local activist, rapper, good person. So here, again, I would say there's hundreds of cars, hundreds of people in the cars. More people in the cars, obviously, than there is cars, because most of these cars are two deep to 5 deep, really. Seen packed cars. Pull up some numbers here for you all of the affected people with coronavirus positive cases here in Minnesota. Give me a second. So this is according to health officials, which I don't think that they know all the stuff because the testing is very low. Right now, according to Minnesota Health Department, 30,000 tests have been given, 30,753. There's 6 million people in Minnesota, 30,000 tests. Of those 30,000 tests, 9,000 have been come from the Minnesota Health Department and 21,000 from external labs. 1,154 people have been tested positive for the coronavirus. 1,154 people in Minnesota. That's the updated number from this morning. There's a lot of people who we believe are suffering from this and not getting tested. There's still not enough tests, so therefore a ton of people still aren't getting tested. 632 people of those 1,154 do not need a hospital bed. 39 have died. 39 deaths in Minnesota. 39. 271 of the 1,154 have required hospitalization. So about 20%, a little bit over. In the hospital right now is 135 people with coronavirus. 135 people, according to the Minnesota Health Department. 64 are in ICU as of today. The demographics of 447 of the 1,154 are 20 to 44 years old. So a lot of people were talking about, it's only impacting the elderly. Obviously, it's impacting them a little bit harder with their other ailments that they may have. But right now, we see the demographics of Minnesota and tons of young adults are getting it. It's actually a gender 51% female and 49% male. They're starting to track demographics of the coronavirus pandemic throughout the globe, but basically also throughout America. Let me read the sign real quick. 6 weeks ago, you can name your price and you'd have multiple people applying. The Minneapolis Landlords and New York Times. That was 6 weeks ago. Everything's changed. People were talking about the demographics of how during the pandemic, the institutional inequities of racism and classism really bear fruit. You can see them very clearly in the numbers of people who die, the numbers of people who are treated and how they're treated, and the numbers of people who are getting ICU beds and everything else. In Minnesota, the percentage of deaths is 77% white, and 73% of the cases doesn't look like they've been tracking everything very clearly, but they say 7% are black folks who have contracted positive results from a coronavirus test. 13% are unknown or missing, so it's not tracking a lot. Likely exposure, that's just one part of it. You know, if you look at, there's some studies that are coming out. ProPublica did a study showing demographics and how deeply impacting the coronavirus crisis is against black folks across the United States. It's a serious issue. One that actually I think Dr. Fauci brought up yesterday as well during one of the White House briefings. 35% of Minnesota's positive cases have resulted from community transmission in Minnesota. So that's the highest. 27% were known exposure to another case. So somebody else had it and then they got exposed to it. This sign says, my $1,200 is for food. 10 million unemployed. You want our rent? Question mark. 10 million unemployed and you want our rent? Question mark. I'll finish reading off some data real quick. Of the 1,154, 344 from Hennepin County. So that's the largest majority. That's obviously the biggest county with the most people, and probably the most people that are moving in and out. But that's the reality. 344 people in Hennepin County have tested positive for the coronavirus. Again, in the Minnesota DOC, 40 people have been tested total. 9 people have contracted or tested positive that are adult inmates. There's also a CO, a corrections officer, in Red Wing Juvenile Correctional Facility that has also tested positive. Of the percentage of the residence types of people positively tested, 80%, 79% are from private residences. Homeless shelters haven't really, they haven't found any. I don't think they're testing. Long-term and assisted living places are like less than 5%, but they just did find that another place, I think in Roseville, there's quite a few elderly homes, nursing homes that have had some outbreaks, and it just came out that a person tested positive and another one in Roseville, I believe. You know, it's very tough for people who have elderly family members during this time. They're not able to see them. If something happens to them, they're not really able to go to the hospitals unless really dire situations. And so just a really, really tough time for a lot of people in general. Emotional stress, the physical stress of staying at home and not getting the sun. Some people are out, obviously. There's a lot of people who are not really paying attention to the stay-at-home orders and moving around. But Minnesota's been under Minnesota's been under stay-at-home orders for about a month now. Governor Walz has enacted 30 executive orders, and those 30 executive orders in Minnesota have helped people stay safe, a lot of people would say. And the fact that closing restaurants, closing bars, closing institutions that people can spread coronavirus very quickly, extending unemployment benefits, putting extra protections on specific workers and such. And so there's been some work that the Governor Walz has done, and even the Minneapolis and St. Paul City Councils and Hennepin County Commissioners and Ramsey County Commissioners. There's work that they've done to alleviate the situation and help with the cause of help with people during the struggle of this coronavirus pandemic, as well as I said, emotional, financial, physical. This is burdening for a lot of people, and that's why you have such a scene right here in Minneapolis. It's just people continually going around this block, honking their horn. If you want more information about Minnesota in general, their Department of Health website has a coronavirus section with a lot of updates on it. There's a lot of good resources out there finding information about coronavirus. There's a lot of citizen journalists, people, folks who have been putting up good resources as well. One being COVID-19 Behind Bars, I believe. It says .com, COVID-19 behindbars.com. It tracks all of the listed or all of the known coronavirus positive results inside Department of Corrections institutions throughout the United States. There's one specifically on Amazon. There's so you can track all the places where Amazon had different breakouts. There's some resources for the mutual aid that's happening. It's going down as a good post on the mutual aid resources. There's a lot of mutual aid efforts happening in Minneapolis and St. Paul. A lot of hand sanitizer creation, a lot of mask making. There's Facebook groups that people are getting together and creating solidarity networks. So it looks like this action is wrapping up. They were just telling everybody to go home or stop honking as much. So we'll see. We'll stand here for a little longer, see what transpires. Again, thank you all for tuning in. It's Nico from Unicorn Riot. Unicorn Riot is an educational nonprofit media organization dedicated to exposing and exploring root causes of social and environmental conflicts, and also bringing forth like sustainable alternatives in today's world. We're gonna have to start figuring out new ways of living. It's pretty evident with this. It's pretty evident that a lot of these systems aren't working as well. So we'll see what happens from here. See what can transpire. A lot of people are sitting at home doing Netflix watching, and then other people are trying to build. So we'll see what happens and transpires out of this life and this virus these next few months. The Unicorn Riot will try to be here with you all, bring you all as much as we can in our limited capacity. I'm gonna check the stream real quick, see if there's any questions. Then we'll bring it down in a minute. If you want to learn more about what's happening, again, go to unicornriot.ninja. We have a few specials on coronavirus pandemic. We're going to have some further specials on unhoused and people in jail and the rent strikes that may be forthcoming. So I'm going to check out one thing before we bring this down. Alright, well again, thank you all for joining. This was an action from outside of US Bank Plaza. You see the organizers are doing a hug right now, and I'm going to move back down to the side of the street after this light, I guess. I was going to try to get you a wider view. Either way, again, Unicorn Riot has a 5-year anniversary this year happening. It happened March 20th was our 5 years. We have commemorative t-shirts to celebrate that. Go to unicornriot.ninja. Get your commemorative t-shirt, 5 years of your alternative media. We wouldn't be able to do this without you all. We are viewer supported. We know times are really tough. And if you have the ability, sharing our work is as good as a donation in a lot of ways. So continue to follow us, get you all a panned out view, and then we're going to go down. Again, thanks Jen on the back end for running this operation, this live stream here in downtown Minneapolis. It was a cancel rent, cancel mortgages a demo. We live streamed the demo, socially distant, so people were driving their cars around the block of US Bank Plaza, which is US Bank headquarters, which is one of the biggest banks here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And 1 second. Okay. So yeah. Again, what you saw here, we're in downtown Minneapolis. This is a CenturyLink building. This is the City Hall. This is the Government Center. Hennepin County Government Center. Right there is the new jail behind that camera. There's US Bank Stadium getting re-roofed or something. Brand new office building, which used to be parking lot. And here's US Bank, the headquarters of US Bank. People came here. This is actually the place where People's Plaza was during Occupy. There was a lot of actions over here at US Bank Plaza because a lot of people were during Occupy time talking about the banks and the housing crisis. And we're back here again, looking at the US Bank Plaza 9 years later at a cancel rent, cancel mortgages action, a socially distant demo where people were in their cars driving around the block continuously. The police tried to put a stop to it by putting an officer up the block. You see about where that bus just drove by, and they were unsuccessful. They only used one car, and they tried to stop people from driving around the circles. They were unsuccessful in that attempt. People continued to just go around them. People continued to have the action unabated for about 30 to 45 minutes. The action was scheduled to go till 1. It is a little bit before 1 and people have wrapped up. People are going back to their stay-at-home orders or wherever they were headed to if they're an essential worker, or getting exercise or whatever else they want to do. Again, this is US Bank Plaza. There was a banner drop inside US Bank Plaza that said, US Bank, you can fix this. People were calling Governor Walz to enact another executive order, one of his 30 plus now. This one, they're asking for a rent freeze and a mortgage freeze. Again, city council members across Minneapolis and St. Paul, multiple ones, not everyone, multiple ones, decided to write a letter to Governor Walz yesterday asking for rent freezes and mortgage freeze. So check that out. We're going to have an article about this probably within a day or two. Thank you for joining the live stream. And there's going to be more information about rent and mortgages coming out soon with all of these places across the globe across the United States. We'll keep it here dealing with this coronavirus pandemic. There was a property management property management company in California that has froze rents for 4 months, I believe. Terra Bella Property Management. So that people are looking for from all over. They're looking for executive orders from the government to put a stop, a freeze to all the mortgages and rent prices. So again, thank you for joining. This is Nico. Thanks Jen for the back end. Thank you all for continuing to allow Unicorn Riot to operate. It is only because of you all that we are able to operate. So if you have the ability, we need monthly micro donors, and that is how we operate. So thank you all. Again, take the stream down. Peace. Have a good one. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Hey, you don't need to keep the water going when you wash your hands. Hey, have a good night, everybody. Good day.